Good afternoon. Welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. It is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and I am so glad that you're here with me on MUTV1.com, Facebook TV, Justin TV, and if you're watching us, my hope is that you've gone to the fabulous MUTV1.com website and you are streaming us on Ustream or one of the other mechanisms that you can look at this show. What we want to do is we want to invite you to post your questions on the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page. I have fabulous guests with me today. The first half hour, I have the founder of First Class Montessori School, Evelyn Hibbler, and her beautiful daughter who is handling and managing the Midtown location of the school, Erin Parrish, with me in the studio today. And what we're going to talk about is what First Class Montessori School is doing, as well as they have a great open house that they're going to have this afternoon, and they're going to invite you out from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock or so. We'll talk about that. But also, we want to just talk about education in general and get you, those of you who have children or grandchildren that you're raising, how do you prepare them for preschool? Because that's so important before they enter regular school, preschool, elementary school. Preschool is so important. So we want to talk about that in the first half hour of this show. The second half hour of the show, I know you've been bombarded with talking about the George Zimmerman trial, but the Memphis branch of the NAACP has taken a position on this, as well as the national NAACP, and Attorney Van Turner will be our guest in the second half hour, and we're going to talk about the NAACP's position. And Van Turner, I think he chairs, I know he's one of the vice presidents of the local chapter of the NAACP. I sit on the executive committee, so we're going to have a dialogue about what happened and what the next steps should be in that George Zimmerman trial. So we're glad you're watching Dialogue with Deidre. When we come back, we'll have dialogue about First Class Montessori, so stay with us.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Excuse me. Hi, can I get through, please?
Dr. Newman.
You know, there has to be a better way. A way to skip the ER waiting room, like this lady over here. All she did was log on to stfranciser.com to hold her husband's place in line. Now he can wait at home and skip the ER waiting room. Now, which would you choose? This or this? Hold your place online at stfranciser.com and skip the ER waiting room. You seen the remote?
7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Dialogue with Deidre. I want to welcome my guest, the founder of First Class Montessori, Evelyn Hibbler, and her beautiful daughter, Erin. Parrish, how are you both?
We're fine. Great, thank you.
Welcome so much to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you for inviting us.
Sure thing. Now, let me just say to my viewers that Evelyn and I go way back. My youngest son, who is 23, was probably in the second class of First Class Montessori.
Exactly.
And I was so impressed back then. I mean, Evelyn, and still impressed now, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
Because, I mean, he learned Swahili, he learned sign language, and back then in preschool, a lot of that really wasn't taught, you know? And so, I mean, the Montessori model and then what you bring to it is quite frankly exceptional. Talk to me about the Montessori model.
Well, actually, the Montessori model pertains to how it started with the founder, Dr. Maria Montessori, who was the first female physician in Rome. And she saw that children actually learn by doing. And independence plays a great part in their daily lives. So she said the best way to teach a child is to be very practical and let them have a home away from home. And since we had so many children coming in from many different ethnic groups, we thought we would introduce our children to some of the languages which happen to be pretty phonetically similar, such as the Swahili, our African brothers and sisters, and of course Japanese, and also Spanish. So that's how it really began, with children coming in and we wanted to communicate with them.
Well, and I look at your daughter and I think about when I met her, she was like this, right?
8.
And now she's a part of your school system,
Yes.
and she's actually managing the Midtown location, right, Erin?
Yes. It was quite spectacular the way that it happened, because that was not the plan. I was very interested in teaching, though, and I did receive my bachelor's in education. I was going to go the traditional route, but Mom definitely
Very persuasive.
Yes, she drew me back in. I came back from Tampa, Florida, to come home and assist at First Class. And as the years went on, I said, you know what, this is pretty much what I would like to do. The Montessori method is top notch, hands down. I received my Montessori certificate. I went through the entire training, kicking and screaming. I was about to say that. But it was so fulfilling, and I am so glad that I went in that direction, because it really enhances the education for children.
And so talk to me about what you have going on now. I know you have 2 locations, and I'm proud to say that as a grandmother, that my grandson is now a student at First Class Montessori. And I can tell you that I've truly seen the difference in him since he's been attending the school. I mean, he speaks in sentences quite well. He's learned how to play the piano.
That's
so
what I was
impressed
about to tell you.
Yes.
with that.
I'm really excited about the musical part of the Montessori. method because the children are learning their letters by keys and notes, and their pitches are becoming so acute. Is that? Mm-hmm. And I said that, you know, if we could just introduce the rhythms, you can also pick up mathematics because they're counting and they're listening and they are also improvising. So I'm really excited about the musical aspect because I taught music for 10 years in the Memphis City School System.
And you just have a beautiful voice too, so.
Thank you.
So now, how old does a child have to be able to attend first class?
Well, in the Cordova location, 3 years old.
Okay.
But at Midtown?
At Midtown, we are beginning a toddler program starting this school year, so 2-year-olds can enter.
Really?
Yes. And we're going to have a basic curriculum for them. It's kind of a pre-Montessori type of curriculum. They will still work with manipulatives along with some constructive play. But yes, we accept them starting at 2 years old.
Okay.
And we at Midtown go through the first grade.
Okay, through the first grade.
Yes.
And what about Cordova?
The third grade.
Third grade, really?
Third grade, but we're thinking about stopping at the first grade.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're still debating.
And so today, though, parents have an opportunity or grandparents have an opportunity to attend an open house at both locations?
Yes.
You want to talk to me about that?
Well, in Cordova, they can come in and register, actually, and we will give them a tour, and we will show some of the DVDs that we have had in the past with the children playing the music and Christmas time and different things of that nature. We can answer questions for them regarding the philosophy and the difference between the daycares and the Montessori schools, because some people don't understand that is mostly the manipulatives, the materials that she introduced at that time, because they are self-correcting. There is also a control of error. And then the ratio is so good.
Okay.
Because we don't crowd our children in. So we are really interested in putting the child first educationally, and that's where the name came from, the first formal class of education.
Okay. First class Montessori. Erin?
Yes, I wanted to add with the open house, the questions that may not be able to be answered at a regular observation or over the phone will be answered today. They can have a packet to take along with them and view the environment. That's the most important part, because it really is kind of self-explanatory when you see the materials on the shelves in the different areas that the children are allowed to walk through and choose works. That's a part of Montessori, being independent and being able to make a choice of what work to use.
Okay. And why is it so important, you know, both of you are educators, for parents to realize that, you know, preschool, pre-K, I mean, this is very important.
Yes.
Right? But why is that important? Because some parents will, you know, not allow their children to go to school
That's
until
true.
it's time for them to go to kindergarten or first grade.
Yes.
Why is this important?
Well, the educational system has become more demanding. And if a child learns, the first teacher comes from their home. So if they are not getting all of the concepts that are expected or accepted in the traditional schools, then that's where we come in. We can teach them not only etiquette, we can teach them manners, but we're teaching phonics. And you've seen My Baby Can Read. We're introducing them to sight words. So they will be able to read easily. And when they, by the time they're in first kindergarten, they are taking the TCAP examination, and they can make a smoother transition into the city school system if they decide that they do not want to continue with us. We have prepared them, so they're better prepared.
Okay. That's good.
It is a fact that children between the ages of birth up until the 5 years old, that time frame is where they learn the most in their entire life. Any individual, they retain and gather the most information in that time, within that time frame. So that's one reason why it's critical to go ahead and start as early as possible with all kinds of education and learning. With us, we do the foreign languages, but what I love about Montessori is that it reaches out to every area, geography, even science, and social studies, and not just the math and writing. Using the materials will help them to retain the knowledge much, much better than writing on a worksheet or even just learning from a flat blackboard. So they are interacting, they're learning the purpose of the materials and also the process of the learning as well.
And so I know, Trey's 4. And so he'll bring home his little folder with his homework too.
Yes. And even our 3-year-olds have homework.
Really?
Yes.
3-year-olds?
The 3s.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So just getting them prepared for what, first grade is going to be like.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So First Class Montessori's been around 22. Wow.
In
22
October.
years.
22 years.
Okay. What do you think, Evelyn, sets you apart, your school apart from the other Montessori schools?
Me.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I'm different, and I like the uniqueness that I have, the creativity that I expose to children, and more importantly, I like the fact that I convince them that they can do it. And I said, we have high goals and high aims, and she's a chip off the old block.
I can believe it. I've seen her in action. I know she is.
And better in some aspects. I just feel that I should give her a pat on the back. She's done an
Okay,
excellent
so
job.
is it that you're getting a little soft after 22 years?
I am. I am getting soft. I have grandchildren, and and that's my other name in Cordova, Grandmommy Hibbler.
Oh, really?
And yeah, one child did it, and it has caught on.
It's caught on.
So now I have to go to Midtown and say, look, I'm Grandmommy Hibbler.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Okay, so I want to make sure that everybody understands. Talk to me about the demographics of the school, because over the years and still today, it's very diverse. It's not only African American children. It's a very diverse group that you have.
Yes, we are excited about our families from India, our Hispanic families, Latino, Italian. Our teachers are from India, Bangladesh, and as far as our religion, we have various religions, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Christian, Muslim, and just a variety. And our parents are traveling from South Haven, Bartlett, different areas to attend both schools.
I noticed that when I was dropping Trey off the other day, there was a parent that drove in when I was leaving that had a DeSoto County tag.
Yes.
And I thought, this is good. So they're coming from all over the Mid-South, Shelby County, Mississippi, to attend First Class Montessori. That's kind of a testimony to the success that you guys have over there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
What do you want? You've got an opportunity to share with our viewers. What do you want them to take away from tonight's open house?
Well, I would say to know what we're all about, know how their child would benefit if they enroll their child in the school. It's a very well-rounded curriculum. We are very loving to the children, but we are very serious about their education as well. You said a home away from home.
Yes.
That is exactly what it is at each location. And we really genuinely care about the child as a whole, and not just academics. You mentioned the etiquette. We do teach grace and courtesy. That's part of the curriculum. So we're concerned about how they develop as a whole.
Okay, and then in terms of your tuition is competitive.
It is.
In the market. So it's competitive, but then you also have opportunities for people who, maybe cannot afford to attend to apply. Is that correct, Erin?
Yes.
That is correct. We have been approved with the Family First.
That's good.
And we accept DHS certificates and vouchers now. We would like to emphasize that we are an accredited school through the Department of Education. So it's not for daycare.
Right.
It is for an actual education, and inviting all of our families in.
That is important. I think,
It is.
and that's an incredible distinction.
It is.
Because a lot of daycares don't have, this is a school. This is
Yes.
not a
Right.
daycare. This is a school. So, and you're unique to a certain degree in that regard,
Yes.
right?
That's right.
Good deal. Well, I want you to share with our viewers the phone number. They've been putting the phone number up so they'll be able to call both locations. But what's that website address? Because we're driving them to the website, and it better have updated information on that website.
www.firstclassmontessori.com.
Okay, .com. Now, if you go to .org, you're not going to see anything. It's important that you go to .com, because that's where you're going to find the website and the information on what's going on with First Class Montessori. That's important. firstclassmontessori.com. Remember that. All right, ladies, I know that you're going to have a successful open house tonight, and it's at both locations, and it's from 5 until 8 o'clock tonight. And what's the address, Erin, for the location in Midtown?
1336 Peabody Avenue.
Okay, Peabody Avenue. That's the Midtown location, and the Cordova location, Evelyn?
1725 Abilene Road.
Okay, well, parents, tonight you have an opportunity to go out and ask these women questions about First Class Montessori. You better take them up on it. I'm telling you, I must be very, very pleased if my son, who's 23, was a student, and now my grandson, who is 4, is a student, and they're doing wonderful work, wonderful work. So I invite you to go out and attend that open house. Ladies, thank you so much for being my guest today on Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll have you come back at some point throughout the year to just let us know what else you have going on, because I know when people go to the website, they'll have access to some of the songs that are taught to the
Yes.
students. We have little samples on their website of some of the songs that are being taught at the school, and I just absolutely love it.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll have you come on back.
Okay.
All right, when we come back on Dialogue with Deidre, Attorney Van Turner is in the house, and we're going to be talking about the George Zimmerman trial and the NAACP's position on the verdict, as well as what the National NAACP and the Memphis branch of the NAACP thinks about that verdict when we come back. Thanks for watching Dialogue with Deidre.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Excuse me. Hi, can I get through, please?
Dr. Newman.
You know, there has to be a better way. A way to skip the ER waiting room, like this lady over here. All she did was log on to stfranciser.com to hold her husband's place in line. Now he can wait at home and skip the ER waiting room. Now, which would you choose? This or this? Hold your place online at stfranciser.com and skip the ER waiting room. You seen the remote?
If you've been injured in an accident or lost a loved one, call the Walter Bailey Law Firm. I'm Walter Bailey. You can count on us to be tough, and fight for the results you deserve. At the Walter Bailey Law Firm, we don't back off the insurance companies and have recovered millions for accident victims. Want justice? Call the attorney that will fight for you. Call now.
The Walter Bailey Law Firm. Call 901-575-8702.
High school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
This past year, we all learned the statistics are true. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience child abuse, usually at the hands of someone they know. Child abuse happens every day. Learn the signs and take action, because keeping a child safe is everybody's business. Make a difference. Visit safehorizon.org to find out more. Safe Horizon, moving victims of violence from crisis to confidence.
Welcome back to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone, and my guest for this half hour is attorney Van Turner. A lot of you probably know Van from being chairman of the Democratic Party here in Shelby County, being very active with the NAACP. He currently is one of the vice presidents of the NAACP. We serve together on the executive committee. Van, welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you very much.
So glad you could be here. Not real excited about the topic that we're going to discuss, but I know that across the country, people are still stunned by the George Zimmerman verdict.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I know that the local branch, the Memphis branch of the NAACP, put out a statement earlier this week. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, our president is Pastor Keith Norman, and they're all actually in Orlando, which is not far from where the action took place, from where the jury trial was down in Florida. And he released a statement, and basically the statement said that, you know, we're upset at the verdict. We don't think that the Martin family received justice. We do support any effort to be had from the DOJ, the Department of Justice. There's a petition that's going around. We're asking Attorney Holder to see if there's a civil rights violation case that may be able to give the Martin family some justice and hold Zimmerman liable for, I think, the horrible deed that he did.
I think that most of us sat there stunned when the verdict was read. I was telling my friends that I thought manslaughter at least, you know.
Right.
And then an attorney friend of mine called when he heard that the jury came back and asked a question about the whole manslaughter piece. And so I thought, okay, well then that's hopeful. But then when it came back not guilty, I was just floored.
Yeah.
You know, and as an attorney, what are your thoughts? I mean, were you floored as well?
I was, and you know, I think it's just a misconception here for the jurors and for folks to pick up when the actual interaction occurred between Mr. Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, Mr. Martin. I think when you look at the whole case globally, you would see that the 911 operator told, directed, said it several times, Mr. Zimmerman, stand down.
Right.
Don't do it. I mean, this is vigilante justice. You know, hold back. Don't approach the situation like you're trying to do. You're a neighborhood watchman, which means you call professional officers in who are trained to handle these situations and allow them to do so. And he didn't do it. And then the second thing to look at is that he actually had to get out of his vehicle.
Get out of his car.
And Trayvon Martin was walking. So in two instances, George Zimmerman went against logical, reasonable actions and thinking. He took the law into his own hands, and we had the death of a young teenager, unarmed, who was not committing a crime. And so I just think it's really disappointing for everyone to focus on what happened when Zimmerman got out the car. I think he's liable at that point. There is no standing the ground if you instigate the cause. I mean, he did not listen to the 911 operator, and he actually got out of his vehicle, and he accosted or approached Trayvon Martin, who was scared of him, if you listen to the calls.
And who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
You have someone following you and, you know, driving up behind you, checking you out. I guess I'm really, I was really shocked. You have an all-female jury. Most of them, you know, I think maybe one or two might have been 30. The rest were 50 plus. Mothers. And I just kept thinking, you know, I'm putting myself in that position, the mother of two young men who could easily be profiled, quite frankly. I'm walking down the street and thinking, would I want somebody coming out of the car, you know, challenging them when they're just walking down the street with, you know, something to drink and some Skittles? I just don't understand how they could come up with that verdict.
Yeah. And it's real puzzling. And if you listen to the juror that is spoken out, she indicates that they were split at the beginning, but later on they came up with a not guilty verdict. So, you know, you would think that these mothers would be sensitive to the issue of losing a son, and they would want some measure of justice to take place. Undoubtedly, you know, this was a horrible case. I mean, they had to make a tough decision, and I just think they got it wrong. I mean, there's no way that you should really pick up at the time that Zimmerman accosted and said something to Trayvon Martin. He should be held liable for not obeying, you know, protocol and procedures, and for, you know, taking, I think, justice into his own hands.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the 911 dispatcher was very clear. Mr. Zimmerman, stay in your car. Police are on the way. And he disobeyed that. Disobeyed that. And I guess another piece that really kind of shocked me associated with the trial when they were talking about the positioning. Maybe Trayvon was on top of Mr. Zimmerman, but if the gun was in the back of his pants, now how's Trayvon gonna get that? I mean, you know, something didn't sound right about that either, Van.
And you know, it's police work that probably was not the best. The prosecution team was probably not the best that, you know, it could have been there in Florida. And I think there was just a poorly handled case from the beginning. I don't think they followed protocol and procedures when they examined the body. I mean, there were all kind of thoughts and different things that came out of this. You know, they check on the fingernails, or, you know, was it any DNA to be examined and presented, and you really don't have any of that.
Yeah, I was, when they said that Trayvon didn't have any DNA on him, and I thought, well, okay, how did he do all this damage to Mr. Zimmerman?
Right. And again, Mr. Zimmerman is an adult.
Right.
And this is a teenager.
Right.
And I just don't see how we allow this man who's so irresponsible, who's such a hothead, to, you know, be able to get a gun back in his hands.
Well,
I mean, if I'm in that neighborhood, I'm moving.
Me too, because anybody walking down the street can be potentially, you know, casually dressed.
Right.
Profile me.
Right.
I wear hoodies every now and then.
Right. You know, you're right. And I think there's another case with a lady down in Florida in Jacksonville who fired a warning shot at her abusive husband, and she gets 20 years, and no one is dead. And so, I mean, you just have these instances over and over again, and it's really sickening. And I'm happy that the youth are, you know, crying out. They're marching, they're protesting. We would encourage nonviolent protests and marches. We don't need any more
violence
cases where someone ends up dead. But I think that it's their right to protest. It's their right to claim their personhood and to be, you know, citizens of this country and have all of the full range of rights that you know everyone else enjoys. I mean, a black teenage male should be able to go to the store and walk home without being accosted and shot if the teenager, if the black male is not doing anything. So, you know, you have these racial profiling issues that pop up, inequity and justice, inequity and injustices, and I just think that it's a good time, it's a good space, a good place for us to have this conversation so that we can attack these stand your ground laws and we can get those laws off the books, and we can attack just the liberal way we handle guns and bullets and just, you know, weapons that should be used for military combat,
right,
you know, on the streets in our neighborhoods. And I just think it's just a good time to have those conversations, and hopefully the movements that are happening at the grassroots level will reach the legislatures and we can turn back some of these crazy laws.
Because it's time to enact some change, and that's
Right.
important. If nothing else positive comes out of this, is that strong dialogue has started, people are engaged, people are upset. And so when that normally happens, change does occur. Because people are going to be persistent. So really excited about that piece.
I agree.
And proud of the NAACP for actually starting the petition. And I know I put it on my Facebook page, and I know people across this country are doing it. But I thought it was real interesting. A Facebook friend of mine, you know, I have 5,000, so I really have not met this person before. But I asked everyone to sign the petition, and one person said, no, I don't think so. Trayvon Martin was a troubled teenager. My opinion. My response was, George Zimmerman was a racial profiler and, quite frankly, is a murderer. My opinion. So everybody has an opinion about this. What I hope doesn't happen is that it divides this country, you know, when, you know, race is already such a major problem in this country, Van, that maybe it spurs the opportunity for us to have serious dialogue about why it's important not to racially profile somebody.
Okay? And there was nothing troubling about Trayvon Martin going to the store and walking
at all
to a house.
But it's funny. I tell my oldest son all the time. Now, you know, I have two boys. One has dreads, has a truck. The other has a small car and is clean cut. You know, it's just a regular Mustang. I tell my oldest son all the time, you're more apt to be pulled over and be profiled just because of what you drive and how you look. Is that unfortunate? Absolutely. But it happens. And so, you know, when you're training young men, and I know you're training young boys now, you just have to share with them those types of things because it's a reality.
It is. We used to, in law school, teach a course called street law, and we taught it to young men primarily who were in the urban areas, and, you know, there were just 9 or 10 points that we shared with them to hopefully keep them alive. For instance, if you get pulled over, make sure your hands are where they can be seen and don't make any quick actions, and just different things like that that you really have to teach these young men in these urban areas, because if not, very tragic results can occur, and we definitely don't want to see this type of action or this type of tragedy occur again. And again, that's why you call in professionals.
Right.
We're not talking about police brutality here.
No.
We're not talking about a wayward officer. We're talking about a vigilante neighborhood watch person who's not been trained, but he's carrying a firearm, and he's hot-tempered. He's easily called into what seems to be issues where there are African American youth involved, because according to what we've seen, this wasn't the first time that he's called and done this sort of thing. Notwithstanding having to do this when you're dealing with just the regular authorities, you really have to do this when you're dealing with wannabe cops,
right?
As Mr. Zimmerman is or was, and so it's just a really bad situation that occurred. But again, as a learning lesson, we have to teach our young men and women how to handle themselves in these urban environments.
And it's important. And when we come back, we'll continue this discussion on Dialogue with Deidre.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.
We got the spirit, we're hot, we can't be stopped. We got the spirit, we're hot, we can't be stopped. We're gonna beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy, R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
If you've been injured in an accident or lost a loved one, call the Walter Bailey Law Firm. I'm Walter Bailey. You can count on us to be tough and fight for the results you deserve. At the Walter Bailey Law Firm, we don't back off the insurance companies and have recovered millions for accident victims. Want justice? Call the attorney that will fight for you. Call now.
The Walter Bailey Law Firm. Call 901-575-8702.
Welcome back to Dialogue with Deidre. Attorney Van Turner, Vice President of the NAACP, one of the Vice Presidents. Let me not get that wrong. Are you first, second, or third?
I think I'm second.
Okay, second Vice President of the Memphis branch of the NAACP, candidate for Shelby County Commission, as well as past chairman of the Shelby County Democratic Party is my guess. And Van, we probably have about 7 minutes or so. So now it's my understanding that you have some kids who are laying out, calling, what is this, Trayvoning? How disgraceful and disrespectful and just quite frankly appalling is this?
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing we should make a mockery of. And when I got the call and I saw this, I mean, it's just, again, upsetting. This is a serious issue and we shouldn't make a mockery of it. And these young guys here are doing something that's just so distasteful, you can't really even, you don't want to speak about it because you don't want to say something you regret later.
Right.
But I mean, this is just, it's just beneath, it's just low.
So we're not going to even discuss it anymore, but we just want you to know that apparently that's what's going on out there, and they're non-African American children, it looks like, just kind of laid out with Skittles and a hoodie and like they've been shot. So how unfortunate for that. But Van, so with this verdict, it seems like this country is still, I mean, I think we'll be talking about this for a while. Yeah, and there have been other cases. A lot of folks are trying to align this with Rodney King or O.J. Simpson and other things. I mean, issues come up from time to time. We're dealing with immigration and we're dealing with so many other issues where race is a factor. And I just think we have to have this be a part of the national conversation. Going forward, we have to, judge people by their character. Absolutely.
Dr. King's words are still resonating today, judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin or what they have on. Absolutely. Right. How do we elevate that conversation here in Memphis and Shelby County? Because I know that the community, you have people who are really still truly divided on this issue, and I know that they will be for a while. I mean, I guess, what can the NAACP do? Because I know we're the longest and the oldest civil rights organization in this country. Memphis is, it just depends upon the year, the largest chapter in the country or the second largest chapter in the country. And we're very relevant today. What do you think we can do as an organization? Well, I think we can keep this on the forefront of everyone's minds and not allow Trayvon Martin's death to be in vain. We really have to keep this national conversation going in order that we have resolution and we come up with solutions. Pastor Norman is coming back to town, I think today, from the National Convention. I'm told that we may perhaps have some activity and action items to take place this Saturday. Perhaps a press conference, a rally, or something along those lines. I don't know yet, but I'm thinking that something is going to take place. And I was happy to see the NAACP youth group get out and march and protest at the FedEx Forum. Our past president, Ms. Lindsay Burgess, spoke eloquently on the news, and she was one of the co-conveners. So I'm just happy that we're passing the torch appropriately. And the young adults who are colleagues and are the same age as Trayvon Martin are getting out and making their voices heard on this important topic. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, and that's what the NAACP, quite frankly, is about. It's about training our youth where we can pass that torch on to them. And so I'm glad to hear that the youth group came out and convened, and they let their voice be heard. I mean, because that's so important. It could be one of them walking down the street, trying to eat their Skittles and drink some juice, and it happens. So I'm really proud that as an organization we keep lifting them up, training them in the way to have a voice, because that's so important. I think that's right. Probably down in Florida with the case, there probably will be some civil action to occur as well. Imagine there'll be a wrongful death lawsuit. I was told that Mr. Zimmerman is going to file a defamation lawsuit. Just some craziness occurring, but we'll continue to monitor that and to assist in whatever way we can assist as the Memphis NAACP. And again, I applaud the NAACP being jealous for stepping up and really asking Eric Holder to look into civil rights violations. And we're just going to keep the pressure on, and we're going to keep fighting till we get justice.
I think that's important, and you're absolutely right. Ben didn't miss a beat. It was immediate. And then I was also very proud to see, we don't see him as much as we used to, but Reverend Jesse Jackson came out with Rainbow Push and also said, you know, they're starting a petition. They're going to ask the DOJ to do the same thing. So the more organizations that put, you know, let it be known that they're in support of, you know, Eric Holder making this move, I think the better.
Yeah, I think so. Al Sharpton with the National Action Network, Move On. A lot of organizations are coming together around this issue, and I think it's really good.
Okay, I want to thank you, Van, for joining Dialogue with Deidre today. We will definitely have you back, because I do want to have you come back on and talk about your race for county commission, why you want to do it, why you think it's important to give back to this community. So we'll get you back on, you know, when you're in the heat of it, so we can have that conversation. And then we'll have you come back on and talk about some of the legal issues that are going on in this community whenever you have time.
Okay, I'll be happy to do so.
Thanks, Van.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. You've been watching Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. We'll be back here next week, so you make sure you join us. And next week, we'll make sure that we have the opportunity for you to call in and ask questions. Monitor the Dialogue with Deidre Facebook page, because we'll let you know who our guests will be next week, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it. So have a good rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks.
The Carter Malone Group is a full-service public relations agency. Celebrating 10 years of being in business, the Carter Malone Group is located in Midtown Memphis and represents clients across the country. No matter what size your business, if you are interested in promoting your product or service and increasing your market share, contact the firm that can help you meet your goals. The Carter Malone Group. Call 901-278-0881 today.